So Len, the Lancaster tail gunner, may be missing the Lancaster this afternoon, but hopefully the American Air Force's equivalent 4-engine heavy bomber will bring a nostalgic tear to your eyes, sir.
Well, I think, Clacton, we heard a little bit of a clap there, but can we have a bigger round of applause, please, for Sally B? Come on, Clacton, welcome this beautiful aircraft to day 2 of our air show.
And Sally B celebrated 40 years of flying in the UK last year. She made her debut at the Biggin Hill Air Show in 1975. And although she is based at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford, she is not, and she is the flagship of the American museum there. She is not operated by Duxford. She's operated by the B17 Charitable Trust. So she depends on the support of the more than 6,500 members of the Sally B Supporters Club, whose sole aim is to ensure that this flying icon remains flying as a tribute to the 79,000 Allied airmen who lost their lives during the Second World War. The motto of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight is "Lest we forget," and that is aimed at all those who gave their lives in the service of the Royal Air Force. Sally B has perhaps a wider mission, and that's to commemorate all the Allied airmen who died in the Second World War.
So graceful as she turns right in front of our commentary point with one wing down, Peter. So we see the 4 engines this time, a bigger beast than what we just saw.
Yes, a bigger beast than the B-25, and more heavily armoured as well. So the classic 4-engined bomber operated by the US Army Air Force in the Second World War, operating from many bases in Essex and East Anglia as a whole. The aircraft is powered by 4 Wright Cyclone radial engines, each producing 1,200 horsepower at 15,000 feet, which gives the aircraft a top speed of 287 miles an hour, but a normal cruising speed of 150 miles an hour. Interestingly enough, although a similar size to the Lancaster, it had a much lighter bomb load with a capacity of 6,000 pounds, compared to the 22,000 pound bomb load of the specially modified Lancasters that were used to carry the Grand Slam and the Tall Boy bombs. Now that's a great picture, isn't it? B-17 over Clacton Pier.
An amazing picture if you're on the pier, and the beast swooping over the edge of the pier. Look at that, very low now, cameras ready.
Now this is a great photo opportunity as Peter Kuipers, the captain, gives us a topside pass. Now she was known as the Flying Fortress because she was armed with 13 machine guns, and the idea was that the US Army Air Force, flying their fortresses, would conduct bombing operations against the German allies during the day, while the Royal Air Force would conduct operations at night. So the Flying Fortress, more heavily armed than the Lancaster, and the Flying Fortresses used to fly in a barrel formation. So imagine you're looking down a barrel lying on its side, and they were scattered all around the outside of the barrel. The idea being that gave them sufficient crossfire to be able to handle any fighters that were sent up to intercept them. Unfortunately, that didn't work, and losses amongst the US Air Force bomber crews were very heavy until the introduction of longer range fighters like the P-47 Thunderbolt, and then eventually the P-51 Mustang, which with its drop tanks could escort the bombers all the way to their targets over Berlin and even further and all the way back. Even so, that still wasn't the ultimate solution, because what would happen was the German fighters would intercept the P-51s as soon as they crossed over the channel, forcing them to jettison their drop tanks to engage in a dogfight, and therefore that restricted their range. But one of the reasons the B17 was so beloved of its crews was that they were famous for being able to return and bring their